Welcome to Small Steps. My name is Seth, and today I'd like to show you a few pitfalls and common issues when using text to columns, as well as some additional uses you might not know. We previously talked about text to columns with both delimited and fixed width data. Each of those are great to use depending on the data that you have. One of the biggest issues that you can run into is unclean data. In this example here, I separate out a column of addresses that I had by using a comma as a delimiter. Even though at first look the data looked as if it might be the same all the way down, you can see right here that it wasn't. And it's always important to check over your results, make sure that there weren't any discrepancies in the data you received. Another issue that comes up often is your results having additional spaces at the beginning. In this example, we use the comma as a delimiter. It left a space at the beginning of both the city and state. If you're using spaces as your delimiter, this won't be an issue, as the leading space after a comma won't show in your results. One last issue that is common is overwriting your data. When you have multiple columns to the right of the one that you're wanting to separate out, make sure that you have plenty of empty columns to accommodate your new fields. If you don't add additional fields in, what will happen is you'll go to do your text to columns, you'll choose whatever you want the delimiter to be, and you see right here the destination shows for the column that you were already in. A lot of times people don't want that original column anymore, so they'll just leave this as a destination. But what these extra columns do that break out, it will put them directly to the right. It won't add the columns, it'll overwrite anything that's there. So when you click that, you'll see that you get this message saying there's already data here, do you want to replace it? Well, if you're overwriting that original column, you're going to get this every time. But what sometimes you don't take into account is how many empty columns you're going to need to the right. So you see here we have additional data for dates and a type of crime. When you click OK, it's overwriting those with your information. It's not adding them in automatically. So what I would suggest doing, just to be on the safe side, is go ahead and get a couple. In fact, I would overdo it. Insert some columns. You'll see there. You get all that extra, and when you do it, it's much easier. If it's just a few columns, there'll be empty ones left. You can just highlight those and delete them, and it's much cleaner and saves you a lot of time. Outside of the standard use of text to columns to separate out data into multiple fields, there are a few other uses you might find handy. If you have a column of numbers that's stored as text, you can easily use text to columns to reformat them as numbers. For example here, you would just highlight what you have, go to your data tab, text to columns. Now this first screen doesn't really matter what you put on that. If you go this route, you don't need to check anything for it. This is the screen we're looking for right here, and you'll notice this general converting numeric values into numbers. So it will read that. Even though it is text, it will read it as a number, and it will go ahead and change it over to the general format, which will have it as a numeric value. So you see here they've all been changed over to this general. So you can replace the column you have very easily with it, or you can leave it in a separate column if you want to compare the two to make sure there's no discrepancies in the formatting. Lastly, and similar to reformatting of numbers, you can use text to columns to reformat a column of different date types into a single format. All you'll have to do is, same as before, highlight what you need, go to text to columns, skip over these first two, and when you get to this field, instead of general like we did with the numbers, you could do the same with date. And there's a couple options here of formatting. We'll just pick the month, day, year, put it in the next column over. You click finish, and the column is completely reformatted. If you found this tutorial helpful and would like to see more, click the like and subscribe below, or leave us a comment. The next video coming up will be over the Control-E shortcut. Thanks for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time.